How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On The Ball, and it is Review the Prem, and let's see how me and Sim got on in our predictions for the Premier League over the weekend. Big weekend in the Premier League, and as you can see on the top corner, it's 139 to Sim, 147 to me, and as if you don't know by now, it's 5 points for a completely correct score, 1 point for correct result on the star man. Once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again for the rest of the season. It's 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. And let's start off at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea won 2-0 against Everton. Sim got a 5-pointer for this one, so he's clawing early 4 points in it.
That's all right.
And yeah, I got 1 point for it. And
Cole Palmer.
Yeah, Cole Palmer's back. Cole Palmer scored. I think he got taken off fairly early as well.
Yeah, I think on the hour mark, was it?
Yeah. But look, I thought it was pretty much as we expected this game. Chelsea, by far the dominant team. I wouldn't say they made light work of it, but they were definitely the better team throughout.
Yeah, the weird thing is Everton conceded that second goal right in the moment they were on top. And it looked for a moment they were getting back in the game. They did have chances. Grealish had a great chance to equalise. Everton will be kicking themselves. They didn't at least get a goal. It did kind of fade away in that second half, though, and Chelsea managed the game quite well. But Everton definitely in that first half could have easily got on the score sheet, so they'll feel a bit of grief. But Chelsea needed this victory. But I think the main story at the moment is with Maresca. Comments he's making in the media saying he doesn't feel supported. He feels frustrated at the moment. He said the last week he had as a Chelsea manager was the worst week he's felt as Chelsea manager because of the lack of support he's had. It's led to a lot of people questioning his future at Chelsea and whether he's that he has the full backing in the board and all this kind of stuff. He feels apparently, reading reports, that it was an agreed upon kind of strategy throughout the season. They were going to rotate throughout the season, and the board are now criticising him for rotating too much, and he feels like, well, you should have either given me a deeper squad or you should get off my back because, you know, this is what we agreed before the season because of the Club World Cup and all that stuff. So, you know, he's gone against the board publicly. He's kind of backtracked it a bit, but people are saying, is he, you know, a lot of people are questioning whether he'll last the season with some of these comments. Is that a bit much, do you think? Or? Yeah,
I think it is a bit much. I think he's doing a fairly good job at Chelsea, to be honest. I know results haven't been great last couple of weeks, but up until that point, you would say he was doing a fantastic job, you know, a couple of points outside the you know, first place in the league. And, you know, look, it has dropped off since then.
It's not about the football, I guess.
Look, I think Maresca, he's come out with these kind of statements before. It's like, this isn't the first time that we're hearing of it. So I think it's just a bit of frustration blowing up and, you know, a bit of coming together because of the poor form that they've been on. But once that form gets rectified, I think it will all be fine.
But when you're talking publicly against the board,
yeah,
that's obviously you're putting yourself in hot water, aren't you? You're kind of giving the man ammunition.
Yeah, you are. But the only way to put that right is results on the pitch. And if results are fine on the pitch, then I think those things will be ironed out.
Yeah, I think that's obviously their number one priority. But Carragher said on MNF yesterday he doesn't think he'll be manager of Chelsea next season because of these comments, because of how he's going against the ball publicly.
The thing is, if Chelsea do go and win a trophy this season and finish in the top 4, top 3, like, they will have to keep him on, in my opinion, because he seems like the best man for the job.
He asked the question, who needs more who? Does Maresca need Chelsea more, or does Chelsea need Maresca more?
Who needs who more? I think Maresca probably needs Chelsea more, to be honest.
I think I agree with that as well, albeit he's got credit in the bank. And he's showing, look, fair play to Maresca. I had my doubts about him, but he's showing he can be a top-level manager when he plays for the top teams. He's really showing really good tactical acumen, so you've got to give him credit.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, it's going to be difficult for him in the short term to get a job as big as Chelsea.
What I would say about Maresca, though, like we have seen in the history of his managerial career, particularly at Leicester, where he'd have an amazing first half of the season, then it will drop off dramatically in the second half of the season. This season, it could very well be following a similar trend because they were unbelievable, and then there is a drop-off. So we have to see how the rest of it goes. But, yeah, we just have to see. It's early days still in the season, so... If there is a drop-off the second half of the season, then I think the board will you know, no two ways about it, they'll sack him.
Yeah, true. But I think, as long as they get top 5 or top 4, and I don't know if they only need a trophy. I think top 5 he keeps his job.
Yeah, Chelsea, though, like, you know, since Roman Abramovich came, they've been just winning so many trophies. Now, the trophies, like, I know they won the Club World Cup, but in terms of domestically, like, the trophies have dried up massively. So I think they need a trophy. I don't think it's, like, do or die for his job to win a trophy, but I just think the club needs a trophy.
In the Carabao Cup quarters tonight, isn't it?
Is that tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know. Yeah, Carabao Cup quarters tonight. Who Chelsea got?
Cardiff,
yeah. So they'll be in the semis. All right, let's move on to Anfield. Liverpool 2, Brighton 0. I think the quickest goal of the season so far in the Premier League from Hugo Ekitike, and he's on firing form, 4 goals in his last 2 games. And yeah, this was a strange game because obviously Liverpool started on fire. But I thought Brighton were able to kind of get in behind them and create so many chances on the day. They just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. So for me, watching this game, I know Liverpool get the 3 points and it's great and everything like that, but it didn't signal to me that Liverpool are back or anything like that. I just thought that Brighton were pretty unlucky on the day not to finish their chances.
I think if you're Liverpool, and the one thing you've been struggling with, like so far this season, is breaking down low blocks and getting counter-attacks and stuff. I know Brighton are a good team; they will create chances, and they did. But I think Brighton are the kind of team they're always going to give you chances as well, and teams have been making it very hard to play against. For Liverpool to play against so far this season, and Slot has been banging on about, we keep facing low blocks, we keep facing long balls and stuff. Well, Brighton are the opposite of that. So I think they were kind of willing participants. They're a team you're always going to create chances against. So I think Liverpool took it in their stride and they got the win. But I think I kind of agree. I think they are the kind of team that are nice to play against in these methods, especially when they're not at their best. Great win. I guess the big story in this one, Mo Salah came off the bench after 20 minutes in the squad. Did say a bit of a goodbye at the end, but do you think that is the last we see of Salah at Liverpool?
So we've had a few of these conversations. I didn't see that goodbye at the end.
He did a lap of honour, clapping everyone
on his own, or with the team.
I think partly on his own, partly with the team.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest, because I would have felt like if there was all these clear the air talks and both parties were happy at the end of it, I thought Salah would have started the game. Obviously, Salah didn't start. He started on the bench and only came on for an injury after 20 minutes. Was it injury to Joe Gomez? I think.
Joe Gomez, yeah,
after 20 minutes. So it all depends if they can finalise a transfer. I mean, I believe that they will be commanding a big fee for him. He is obviously want big wages. I think the only one that makes sense is Saudi. I don't think anyone else could probably afford what Liverpool will want. So it's a very particular set of circumstances that need to happen for Salah to leave Liverpool. I believe this is the beginning of the end. Whether it's the last time we've seen him in a Liverpool shirt or not, I don't know. But I think potentially by the end of January he could be gone. But when's the AFCON over?
Mid-January.
Yeah, so I think he could still come back and play a game or two before the end of January. But I think it is the beginning of the end.
I think I'm almost certain he's going to be here till the end of the season. But I think next season, I think there's obviously a big question mark. I don't know if he'll be here next season. I guess depends how his performances go between now and the end of the season. I don't see him leaving January. I don't think that's how he's going to want to leave Liverpool after the career he's had there. There's still a lot to play for Liverpool this season as well. I know they're failing, they're 7th in the league, but they're still in the Champions League. They're still in the Cups. Can he leave Liverpool with another trophy in the bag? I think that's going to be in the forefront of his mind.
But put it this way, Liverpool are after Semenyo. Liverpool are after more talent on the wings, right? If that does happen and that puts Salah even further behind the pecking order, is that where Salah wants to be? Going into the second half of the season, he wants to be playing.
Does he want to be in Saudi watching Liverpool battle for all these big trophies?
But he won't be playing in that Liverpool.
He will be. And also they need him. They need Semenyo on top of him, unless they sign 2 wingers.
But he's not getting in the team. Like last 5 games, he hasn't started.
This last 4 isn't 5 because last 5 he hasn't started, but the last 2 is because he was a bit of a disciplinary thing. But he'll start playing again. It's all about his performances. That I think I understand why that there was a need to drop him. I think I understood it, but I think the AFCON will clear the air. He'll come back and he'll start playing again. I'm sure of it. He's not going to be on the bench all the time. He's still a big player for them. Even now, even this season, as much as he struggled and Liverpool struggled, I think he's still got nearly 10 goal contributions. He's still got a fair amount, not maybe the level that he's used to, but he's still got a decent amount. So I'm sure Slot will find a role for him. I'm pretty sure of that. I don't think this is the end for Salah. I just don't think he's going to want to leave like this. The guy's a legend. He should be getting a proper send-off. He shouldn't be going through, out through, in January mid-season after a fallout with the manager. I don't think that's the best for anyone. I also think for Slot as well, I think he's going to need Salah between now and the end of the season as much as he decided to drop him. And for me, for fair reason, I think there was reasons to take him out of the team. But I think he's still going to need him. You can't just like abandon him. He's not going to drop him for the rest of the season. So I'm certain he's going to be here for the rest of the season.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens, don't we? Like, we're not going to see him around for a while because of the AFCON. Obviously, Egypt are a big player in the AFCON as well, so they could be playing till the latter stages. So he's going to be gone for at least the next month. So that's Liverpool. They get 3 points on the board. Let's go on to Burnley against Fulham. What a game this was. 3-2 to Fulham. Sim went for 0-0. 5 goals in the game. You went for 0-0.
Didn't quite pan out that way.
I went for 2-1 to Fulham, so I get a point in this one. But look, the story of the day is the story of pretty much every week at this moment in time for Fulham is Harry Wilson. A goal and 2 assists. The guy is playing at such a high level right now, contributing for Fulham week in, week out. And he went through like a very like purple patch last season as well, and it seems like he's kind of improved on that now. And every week he's like Fulham's saviour, isn't he?
Yeah, you got to say as well, has he got one of the most cultured left foots in the Premier League? The way when he's lines one up, there's more often than not, it's finding one of the corners. He's got a beautiful technique on his left foot. But yeah, very big win for Fulham in the context of their season. If Burnley would have won that game, all of a sudden Fulham get dragged back into that relegation conversation, and with the win though, they get pulled away from it, and all of a sudden they're looking up. They're on 20 points, and all of a sudden they're 4 points off top half, and they're looking upwards rather than downwards. So brilliant for them. For Burnley, did get a couple of goals, but unfortunately at this point where they are, 10 points, 6 points behind 17th, they just need results. It's all well and good improving performances, and I think there have been some green shoots over the last couple games, but unfortunately the green shoots only go so far in a relegation fight. You need to start getting points, and it will be absolutely gutting for them that they didn't get, because they played quite well in this game, but they just couldn't get anything over the line. They were just, unfortunately, it felt like the more they went forward, the more they were a bit open at the back, and Fulham exploited it.
Yeah, for me, I think the writing's on the wall for Wolves and Burnley this season. I can think most Premier League fans will probably agree that those two are two of the candidates that are most definitely going down this season. It's all about that last spot, whether it be West Ham, Leeds, Forest. I think it's between West Ham and Leeds, and I think it will end up being Leeds. But yeah, look, as much as we can talk about green shoots and uptick in performances, the results haven't improved. So. Yeah, they're cut adrift of Leeds, who are in 17th. They've shown the ability to pick up points against some big clubs as well. So I just can't see a way out for Burnley.
Yeah, me neither.
Next up is Arsenal against Wolves. It finished 2-1 to Arsenal. Both of us went for 3-0. It was not as cut and dry as everyone thought this game. Definitely it was crazy. I was watching this game and I was like, Arsenal cannot seem to break down this Wolves team. They couldn't seem to create a chance. It was quite unbelievable what I was watching. Everyone thought this game was just going to be a whitewash, like it was against Manchester United last week. Man United completely wiped the floor with this Wolves side, but Wolves seemed resolute. They seemed on their mission. They seemed to snuff out Arsenal at every opportunity, and the only time Arsenal were able to score for own goals, and it was it must have been so hard to take for Wolves because they put so much into this game. They go 1-0 down. Wolves get it back on the 90th minute, and Wolves must be thinking, all right, we've got ourselves such a decent point at the Emirates. And then another own goal a few minutes later. It's just like, I think the whole of the Premier League were just like, oh, for God's sake.
I know. And they didn't really create much, did they,
Nothing.
Arsenal? You've got to say,
Nothing.
During that game, that has got to be big alarm bells. You're playing the worst team in the league who have been shipping goals for fun. Every team, apart from maybe you can argue Spurs, but even Spurs in that first half, created quite a lot of chances in that game. And most teams against Wolves have been able to create a good amount of chances against them. So the fact that did they come into the game underestimating them, think they could just turn up and roll them over? They really struggled to break them down. Wolves were actually quite comfortable for a lot of that game. And to be fair, they defended really well, and they were so resolute, as you say. And it was really difficult. I thought Saka was nullified. Gyökeres put an absolute stinker. He really struggled to get involved in the game. Arsenal didn't seem to have the answers, and how they broke the deadlock, a corner that went all the way to the back post and hit the keeper, and then right at the end it needed one of the Wolves defenders to head it into his own net. Absolutely gutting. But I actually think the most worrying thing for me, if you're watching it as an Arsenal fan, is how they reacted to only being 1-0 up. they got really nervous. You saw that in those last 10 minutes. That when the goal came for Wolves, it actually wasn't a surprise. Their pressure was building, and you're expecting an Arsenal team leading 1-0 at home to Wolves. This should be plain sailing. Wolves shouldn't be able to create anything. Look how Arsenal have been defending this season. Yet as the pressure was building, they were getting little moments, little chances. Wolves were able to sustain pressure. Arsenal dropped back. You don't associate this Arsenal team with having to drop so deep against the Wolves side. You think they'll probably be able to sustain pressure and keep Wolves away from their goal. They weren't able to do it, and I thought they were getting really, really nervous. They were starting to crack, and then they actually did concede. And it was a poor goal to concede as well. Cross coming in, and I can't remember who headed it in, but it was a good header by the Wolves striker. And that, for me, has got to be the biggest worry, because they're showing that now. This is 16 games in to the season. If they're that worried about trying to keep a lead against Wolves at that point, what's it going to be like come March, April, and May when it's really crunch time? That's got to be the most worrying thing. Look, you could argue winners mentality. They did come back and win the game, and even though they only had 6 minutes to win it, they got the goal, and you could argue it's a sign of champions. But I would say that 10-minute spell has got to be alarm bells ringing for Arsenal if I'm watching them.
I think alarm bells have to be ringing as well. Like, this has got to be a routine victory. It's been a routine victory for pretty much every team in the Premier League apart from Spurs this season. That's the reality, right? And at the Emirates, where Arsenal have been, brilliant, they've won so many games there in a row. You really thought that this was just going to be a complete battering and a whitewash. And I was actually so surprised of how Arsenal kind of manoeuvred and managed the game. And Arteta called his players out after they've won a game, and he's called his players out, saying this is completely unacceptable the way we played this game. And I completely agree with him. It was unacceptable. So many players just didn't show up. Like Eberechi Eze. I mean, apart from his goal contributions against Spurs, what's he done this season? He's not done much.
He's only scored in 2 games out of the 16.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he got a hat-trick against Spurs, and that kind of puts gloss on his season. But he's not having actually a great season this year. You've got Bukayo Saka, whose goal contributions as well have pretty much dried up a lot this season from last year. You've got Victor Gyökeres, who came in off the back of a 50-60 goal season last year at Sporting Lisbon. He's looked terrible this year. So I think Mikel Arteta needs to take a long, hard look at these attacking players and trying to get more out of them. Because, you look at the last few games and they're not on good form. They've lost to Aston Villa. They've drawn to a 10-man Chelsea. They've drawn to Sunderland. They have a few wins sprinkled in there as well. But they have let Man City back into this title race, where it looked as though 3-4 weeks ago Man City were just dropping. So if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be very worried. But as a Spurs fan, I'm delighted.
Well, they got the win, so
I know they got the win, but it's what this actually win represented and how it actually came about.
I agree, but I think when you're a top team like that, you're going to have sometimes off days when I'm not in general. I'm talking about like going forward, it doesn't click, and you just got to find a way to win. I get that. For me, the most worrying thing for them has to be how they shut the bed when only having a 1-goal lead at home to Wolves. That shouldn't be a position where you're getting that nervous. That should be a comfortable position. And they let Wolves equalise. That has got to be a big worry. But we'll see how it progresses from the season. They're still top of the league by 2 points. We're going to go into their rivals in a minute, see. But yeah, you saw Rice and Odegaard fuming after the game as well with their performance, even though they won the game. So it'll be interesting to see how they react to that.
I would say the only player I thought that caused Wolves any danger was Declan Rice. I thought, Declan Rice has been fantastic this season. He's such a good player, and I think every season he's improving, isn't he? And he's the one that's really keeping up that standard week in, week out.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Crystal Palace against Manchester City. It finished 3-0 to Man City at Selhurst Park, and what you've got to say is an impressive display. Phil Foden, his run keeps going. Haaland's run keeps going. His mini goal drought has actually ended. But we both went for 2-1. We thought it'd be a bit tighter, but Man City just steamrolled them a bit.
Yeah, it was an interesting one because it actually did go as I expected. In a sense that Palace did have a lot of chances.
They did have chances, yeah,
and they hit the bar. Pino was getting in on goal, and they were having so many moments they just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And then kind of against the run of play, City get that goal. Haaland with the header. And then second half, as Palace seem to do a lot this season, they just tire in that second half. And again, they've lost 4 games now this season, all after Conference League games. This is another game after a Conference League game, another game they tied in the second half. And I do feel for Ole Glasner, I do feel for them because they've clearly got a very good thing going when everyone's fresh and fighting. And you know, begs a question: if they had a better squad, where could they be this season? Because right now they're fifth, and they're right in the thick of it for top four. And this lack of squad depth is really hampering them. But they played really well. But I think for me, I think the story for City, obviously Haaland continuing his goal scoring record, but Foden and Cherki, they're in scintillating form at the moment. Unbelievable goal from Foden, another one. That's now 7 goals. He's now up there with some of the top goal scorers in the league all of a sudden. He's in incredible form. He's back to his best. He's actually looking better than ever at the moment, Phil Foden. And Cherki now is top of the assist charts in the Premier League.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he's in incredible form. I think he's now playing them in these like 2 inside pockets closer together. And
It's
I
like
think
2 inside 10s, aren't they?
Exactly. I think Pep, we've always said with Pep, he always spends like the first half of the part of the season, you know, figuring out how he wants to play this season. Has he now found the formula going forward? Because at the beginning of the season, it was literally just either Haaland scored or they didn't score. And now they're getting more threats. Now they've got more players. Even players like Nico O'Reilly are chipping in. They've got other players as well starting to chip in with a few goals. I think he's starting to find that creative formula. And it's going to take a lot to replace what Kevin De Bruyne was offering and even Gundogan. But now with Cherki in this new role, they're starting to create chances at will. And you got to say, when you're winning 3-0 away at Palace, and after they had a good win as well last week, you got to be worried if you're Arsenal watching City in this kind of form, when you're struggling to break down Wolves.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we talked about the 3-0 win against Sunderland last week, but in between that, they went to the Bernabeu and pretty much played Real Madrid off the park as well. I know Real Madrid had a couple of chances and started the game well, but I was so impressed with Real Madrid, with Man City in that game at the Bernabeu. And yeah, they're really starting to click into gear. That's the honest truth of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if, I wouldn't say faultless from now until the end of the season because there's a long way to go, but once that kind of January period hits, after January, I can see them going on a massive, massive run. So Arsenal have got big work on their hands because they know Pep Guardiola and Man City are hot on their heels now. And
they've got to go to the Etihad at some point as well this season. And even in the last few weeks, even when they, people were saying they're unconvincing, like beating Fulham 5-4, but people were missing the fact that their attack is really starting to purr now. And that is got to be a dangerous sign when you're Man City.
And look, they've never been a team that have relied on their defence. Mm-hmm. They've never been that team. Like, you know, there's the old cliche saying that defence wins you titles, a good defence wins you titles, and a good attack wins you games. I mean, Man City have proved it's the other way around for them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Every time that they've won the league, it's always been their attack that have won them the league. Mm-hmm. They've never been one to focus on their defence, and like Mikel Arteta does with Arsenal. And, you know, they kind of got opposite problems, don't they? Man City and Arsenal. Arsenal, their problems are up front. Man City's problems are defence. But if you outscore teams, it doesn't matter.
They now have the best goal difference in the league.
Yeah.
Man City 38 goals now, which is 8 goals better than the nearest best attack, which is Arsenal.
So there's 2 points in it, right?
Yep.
There's 2 points in it, which everyone's been saying all season so far. Everyone said at the beginning Liverpool favourites. Then it obviously quickly shifted to Arsenal. Arsenal went, I think, 6 or 7 points clear at one point.
They were 8 points clear
of
City. I think.
No, I'm saying in second.
Yeah. I think the most it's been is 6.
Would you say that Man City are favourites now?
I still have Arsenal just because I think their depth is better than City.
But it's probably closer now than it's ever been in terms of the odds.
Oh, for sure, because City, up until a few weeks ago, it literally was Haaland was the only one scoring, and they were losing. They've lost 4 games already this season, and they didn't seem consistent. But now all of a sudden, their attack is clicking into gear. They have the know-how. They have the manager who's been here. And Pep has kind of said consistently in his press conferences, "Look, I've been in these situations before. I've been in situations where even in March and April, I've been 8 points behind and come back." Like, this is not going to scare Pep Guardiola where the gap is right now. And the key thing for Pep is during their worst part of the season, where they were struggling for consistency, you have to say, the gap did grow to 8 points, but it didn't get any bigger than that. And now it's down to 2. And now they're clicking into gear. So even if City were like 7 points behind right now, I'll be like, okay, there's a long way to go, and they're clicking. But they're only 2. They're only 2 points now.
Yeah, it's one game.
Arsenal should have really been out of sight.
Yeah.
They should be out of sight by now, and they've allowed City to be back in it.
You know what has kind of like given me a bit of comfort throughout the season, even when Arsenal were like kind of 6 points clear, is like Pep Guardiola's demeanour has always been really calm. He's always been of the opinion that, this man, I'm seeing really good things in this Man City side. And he seems to be just like really relaxed. No matter how far they drop behind Arsenal, it seems like such a different personality to what he was last season, where last season he seemed a bit like a defeated man. This year, I think he knows it's all starting to click again.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, don't worry. Don't have too much to add. I think the attack is starting to definitely click.
All right. Well, from one good result to poor result. Nottingham Forest 3, Tottenham 0. Both of us went for Spurs wins. That's just probably the delusion in us. But it did seem like Spurs were starting to turn the corner. Really good performance against Brentford, backed up with a win in the Champions League. Before that, we went to St James's Park. Not a great performance, but got a result in 2-2. But this was a mess. This was a complete mess from Tottenham Hotspur. Nottingham Forest dominated the game from the first minute till the last. It was 3-0, but it very easily could have been a lot more. Spurs were awful, open at the back, couldn't create a chance. And it seems as though a lot of the problems that we've seen from Spurs this season all came to a head in this game and started rearing its ugly head again.
Yeah, another game where Tottenham failed to make failed to make 1 XG. In fact, 10 of Tottenham's 16 league games, Spurs have failed to register more than 1 expected goal, which is, for me, such a poor kind of stat. That really exemplifies how bad we have been going forward this season, how difficult it's been for this Tottenham side to create chances. And when you're getting laid by a Sean Dyche team who is known for lumping the ball forward, playing pragmatic football, and they're not exactly known for being expansive, yet they're popping it about, they're playing all these tippy-tappy passes, and they've got the fans laying you. That has got to be a massive alarm bells, and I think the players seem frustrated at Tottenham. They seem to be snapping at each other. Spence had a bad reaction again to being substituted in this game. Thomas Frank is bringing on Ben Davis when Spurs are 2-0 down and trying to get back in the game, and he feels like Ben Davis is the answer. There are lots and lots of question marks for Thomas Frank and Tottenham at the moment, and our form has been, especially over the last, I would say, couple of months, it's been exceptionally bad. I think it started off okay. I think performances weren't great, but we were getting wins fairly consistently, and after 7 or 8 games, we were third place, and everyone was saying, look how adaptable he is. We're going from set pieces defensively, all this kind of stuff. But what was completely overlooked was how poor we were going forward and how we weren't able to have any sort of possession game and create chances. And now, all of a sudden, teams have worked out how to score against us. It seems as though you just take a shot from 25 yards and you're good, apparently, or you press us really high because we're not very good at playing out the back. That's been pretty clear. We make a lot of mistakes. In fact, I was looking at the stats, we've been tackled the most in our own defensive third. So we're not very good at playing out the back. And those attacking creative issues are still persisting. So at the moment, we're leaking goals for fun, making mistakes, conceding shots from outside the box, and we can't create for shit. And it's leading to some of the worst football I think we've seen in a long time. And it was bad last season, don't get me wrong, especially towards the end. And this seems to somehow have gotten worse. And I don't know how that's even possible when you consider most of the players are fit and we should be much better than we were. So a lot of Tottenham fans are running out of patience with Thomas Frank. And a lot of them are questioning whether he's the right man. Yeah,
absolutely. But look, don't take it away. I mean, Forest were brilliant on the day as well. I thought they played the best I've seen them play pretty much since Sean Dyche has come in. Obviously, Spurs were willing participants, and that's got to be said. But credit to Nottingham Forest. Their midfield of Elliot Anderson and Morgan Gibbs-White just completely dominated anything that we have to offer. And you're talking about the most times tackled in the back line. We've also had the most individual errors leading to a goal as well.
Which was the first goal led. The first goal we conceded.
Yeah.
And if it could be so bad, if Spurs lose to Liverpool, which is not exactly unlikely, they could be as low as 15th. With Brentford are playing Wolves, they're going to win that game. Fulham are playing Forest at home. They could easily win that game. So Tottenham could be 15th by the end of next weekend. And all of a sudden it's like, Ange got sacked for being 17th, we're all of a sudden 15th. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, it is what it is. We have to wait and see how it all unfolds. Spurs, Liverpool at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium next week. I don't think many Spurs fans are looking forward to that one.
In fact, Bournemouth are below us playing Burnley at home. We're going to be 15th. It's crazy. We're going to be 15th next week.
We'll beat Liverpool.
He says confidently.
All right, let's go to the Northeast Derby. Sunderland 1, Newcastle 0. Sim went for 2-1. I went for 1-1. Look, it wasn't the greatest game of football, let's be honest. Not many chances at either end. But the game was split from a unbelievable finish from Nick Woltemade. I can't believe I saw the highlights and stuff. So when I was watching Woltemade's goal, I was like, so did Newcastle win 1-0? Because it felt like he completely meant it, and it was an unbelievable header to go in the back of the net. But yeah, what a bizarre own goal that was.
Crazy. By the way, this was the lowest XG game for any game this season. So it was a very, just a battle, wasn't it? Both teams really struggled to create chances, all about who wanted it more. Some are suggesting that the atmosphere was so intense that Woltemade forgot where he was, and he thought he was shooting that way in that moment, and instinct kicked in. He just went for it and headed it in. I wonder if you speak to Woltemade if that's true. But yeah, that was a crazy own goal. It probably would take a moment like that to win the game. And Sunderland just really have Newcastle's number, don't they, in the derby? Incredible record they have.
Yeah, we spoke about it before, didn't we? It's been so many years since Newcastle have beaten. Obviously, Sunderland have had a period outside the Premier League, but still, even when Sunderland were in the Premier League on a consistent basis, Newcastle still weren't be able to beat Sunderland.
Yeah, I always felt like in this fixture, though, Sunderland waiting so long to be back in the Prem, it was going to be difficult for Newcastle in this game. Sunderland were always going to want it so much. But
let's be honest, it was a 0-0 game, though, wasn't it?
It should have been. I guess it should have been, and Sunderland got a bit of luck. But look, they got the win. Brilliant win. What a day for them. And look, still top 8 at the moment, only 2 points off top 4. So we're getting to halfway through the season, and everyone's maybe expecting a Sunderland drop-off, and they're still there. Yeah,
they are still. I have felt like the results have dropped off a little bit in recent weeks. But, yeah, look, I imagine... it depends what they do in January, because the owner apparently has said, they want to make big signings to push on for those European spots this season. So I guess you've got to watch that space. But if not, I still envisage them to be kind of like mid-table, top half of the bottom half kind of area.
I mean, if you're an underlying numbers kind of guy, it does suggest that they definitely will drop off, but we'll have to wait and see. Forest outdid their underlying numbers last season, so it can happen.
Yeah, and another team who are outdoing their underlying numbers is Aston Villa.
Oh, yeah.
As they won 3-2 away at West Ham. Both of us went for Villa wins, but we didn't think it would be as tight as maybe it was, because West Ham are winning 2-1 at half-time in this game. And how many times are Villa going to come back from losing positions to go and win a game in the Premier League? They've done it again at the London Stadium. Morgan Rogers scoring 2 goals in the second half, 1 with 10 minutes to go, and Villa overturn another deficit to win the game. What an unbelievable season they were having. I can't actually believe I'm saying what an unbelievable season they were having, because after the first couple of months we were like, yeah, Emre's done, Villa are done, write the season off. And now they're in a title race. Like, are they in a title race?
Why not? If they keep, if Morgan Rogers keeps playing like he is, he was another one who was a bit subdued at the beginning of the season, but he is now better than ever. He's kind of hit form that can't be ignored. I think Tuchel must be looking at this thinking he needs to be in this England squad, because he is just in phenomenal form. 9 wins now in all competitions, in consecutive wins. So they are just, the train keeps rolling for Aston Villa. By hook or by crook, it just seems as though it doesn't matter how well they're playing, doesn't matter like how many chances they're given up or whatever, or if they're behind, they're just finding a way to win every single game. And not only that, every game they seem to be scoring a goal from outside the box. Yeah. Rodgers on another absolute cracker. He scored, did it again against Leeds. He did it against Spurs. Now he's doing it again this time round. So he's in the form of his life. Again, I mean, I've said this every single week, and I don't know if I'm starting to doubt whether I'm maintaining it, but will they be able to maintain this form? I really don't think they will. I know they keep doing it. I know they keep winning. They are only 3 points behind Arsenal. Credit to them, and I really pray they take Arsenal all the way. Go for it. Unai Emery is a very clever manager and a very smart manager. I just can't see this being sustainable for a whole season. But you know what? Who am I to know? Because they keep doing it every week. I keep saying the same thing, and every week they're proving me wrong. So maybe I'll just keep saying it, and hopefully they prove me wrong and take the title off Arsenal.
Well, look, Aston Villa's next 3 games are Manchester United, Chelsea, and Arsenal. Can you imagine they get 3 straight wins?
I mean, if they do that, they really are in a title race, surely.
I think their season could very much be shaped over these next 3 games. Because if they take this form into these 3 games and they win them, then all of a sudden, level points with Arsenal going into the new year. Like, how unbelievable would that be?
That would be mental to think about, and especially how Arsenal were looking like they're running away with it, and Villa didn't win their first 5 games. And to be level on points with Arsenal at that point would be surely one of the biggest turnarounds we've ever seen.
Yeah, definitely.
In the mid-season. So
Yeah.
fair play. West Ham, I think I'd have to say they were a bit unlucky in this game because they played quite well. Took the lead after. I think you said Ekitike's was the quickest. It was then beaten very quickly by the West Ham player.
Oh, right, yeah.
By Fernandes. So that overturned. So look, they played quite well.
I like him, by the way, Fernandes.
Matheus Fernandes.
He's a good player.
Yeah, good little player. He scored, and then did Bowen get their other goal?
Yeah.
So they played quite well, and they were quite unlucky. But when you're coming up against Rodgers just banging them in from 25 yards, it's hard to stop.
How funny would it be, though, if Aston Villa do win the league this season?
That would be hilarious.
How mad would that be?
If all teams, of all managers...
They chased Unai Emery out the door, and then, last season, the narrative in the Arsenal fan base was just like, we were above Liverpool. How could we let Liverpool win the league? And if Aston Villa go and do it this season, I think their heads will be on Mars.
That'll be the best story I think the Premier League's ever written. I think Emery stopping Arsenal winning the league after he stopped them before as well. That loss stopped them winning the league as well a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
In terms of West Ham, they're on 13 points now. They're now 5 without a win. 3 points behind Leeds. I know it's a long way to go. 3 points can be clawed back very quickly, but 13 is a pitiful amount, isn't it?
You've got Man City next as well.
Man City, they're in real danger, surely. They got, I know the alarm bells have been ringing there for a while, but, I mean, can Nuno keep them up? Will he keep them up?
I think it's going to be a dogfight for him. I just feel like, I know Leeds are on a bit of a purple patch and doing pretty well at this moment in time, but I feel over the course of the season it will even out, and I do think West Ham will finish above Leeds, in my opinion.
I kind of agree. I just think they've just got a bit too much quality in there.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to talk about Leeds then, because Brentford won, Leeds won. Sim went for 2-2. I went for 3-2 to Brentford. I didn't see much of this game, to be fair. I know that Brentford had a penalty overturned because I was keeping a keen eye on that because of Igor Thiago, my star man. And but look, credit to Leeds. They hung in there and got a point.
Yeah, it was a tight game. Obviously, Jordan Henderson gave Brentford the lead quite late on, and you're thinking they're going to go and win the game and it's going to be fairly comfortable because Leeds didn't offer too much threat. But to be fair to Leeds, didn't give up, came back in the game. Calvert-Lewin is on fine form all of a sudden. Now I think that his 5th Premier League goal this season. So he got the header late on, and it was a brilliant draw. And that just keeps 3 unbeaten now, and the one before that was a late loss to City. So they are really upturning. Farke really turning things around. But if you're being super harsh, it is still only 1 win in their last 5. And if they're going to have serious ambitions of staying up, draws are great, but they need to start getting wins as well. They can't just rely on that 1 win and show progress. They need to start getting picking up wins here and there. So, great point. I think it'll give them confidence going into the Christmas period. But, where is the next win coming from? That's the main thing.
Look, to be fair to them, though, they have had really hard games over the last couple of years. They've drawn with Liverpool. They've taken 3 points off Chelsea, and they lost to Man City in the last minute. So I think they'll take a lot of encouragement from those games.
I get that, but this is Premier League. The next 3 are Palace.
I reckon they beat Palace.
Palace, Sunderland, and Liverpool. They need to win one of those games.
Yeah,
they need to win one of those.
I reckon they beat Palace.
Palace
have got Europe. Yeah.
Oh, if Palace have Europe, yeah, that's a good bet.
Yeah. All right. Last game was an absolute stormer last night at Old Trafford. Manchester United 4, Bournemouth 4. Sim went for 2-2. I went for 1-1. So it was always going to be a draw. But what a game this was. Unbelievable advert for the Premier League. I was watching this game and Man United just started like a house on fire, didn't they? I thought Man United were fantastic in that first half. They could have scored about 4 or 5 goals. That's how many chances they were creating. And, they must be kicking themselves that they weren't out of sight by half time because they ripped Bournemouth apart in that first half. And second half, it became more of a even contest and, goals at either end. At one point you thought Bournemouth were going to take the 3 points and Man United came back and you thought they were going to take the 3 points. It was just a mad game of football and it's one I thoroughly enjoyed watching.
Both teams, you can see why both of them really struggled to hold on to Leeds because they just can't control the game. They can't, I think both teams really struggle when the game gets slower and the game becomes more about controlling or breaking the other team down and setting the pace. You see Bournemouth have one setting. United as well seem to be at their best when the setting is quick, fast-paced, direct, and there's a lot of space. Bournemouth played into their hands, and I think United probably played into Bournemouth's hands as well. And it was just a perfect concoction to lead to what was a brilliant game of football. But I agree with you, like, United should have been outside that first half, but they did allow Bournemouth back in the game with a that Semenyo goal.
Great finish, by the way.
Brilliant finish. Yeah. You think, Casemiro scores at the end of the half, you're like, okay, back to normality for United in this game. But 5 minutes into the second half, Bournemouth are 3-2 up. It was crazy. But Bournemouth just don't know how to hang on to lead. I think for 2 seasons consecutively now, they're top of the league for goals conceded from winning positions. So they really just, and you can see why. You watch them play, they don't control the game. Every time they get the ball, play it forward, run, or everyone's running, everyone's pressing. It's all about chaos. It's all about no control. And Bournemouth, as much as they're a threat, they also are a mess sometimes going back. They're a mess in that first half, and they're for that fourth goal. I know Bruno, what a free kick by Bruno, by the way, but the fourth goal they conceded, they were all over the shop. Everyone was all over the place, and Cunha puts it away. But United don't know how to shut up shop. They always give you a chance. And not only did they concede, they should have lost at the end, because Brooks had 2 unbelievable chances. Lemens made 2 great saves right at the end in the 90th minute. So as much as United probably should have won with the chances created over the game, they would count their lucky stars. They didn't lose because Lemens, well, I don't know how you pronounce it, Lemens, had to... Lemens. He had to bail them out right at the end there from David Brooks. So both teams probably come away disappointed, but also both teams have positives to take away, you'd say.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, in terms of Man United, I think you are starting to see a team that is creating chances consistently. You know, they scored 4 goals in their last game against Wolves. They scored 4 goals again against this Bournemouth side. So is Ruben Amorim cooking?
He's starting to get a tune out of the attackers, which, to be fair, they do have. We know they have good attackers. The problem for him now is he's losing Mboma and Diallo for the next month. So just as it's starting to cook, it's like he's now got couple of the bullets being taken out the chamber.
Yeah. Look, good for him that Sesko came back yesterday, because they're going to need him. But I thought Amad Diallo was fantastic yesterday. One of his best performances of the season, I thought.
I agree.
Really good from him. Such a threat.
I agree. But I also say Bournemouth did play into their hands a bit, the way they play. They always pressing forward. They're going to lead that space. Obviously, last week was Wolves. You can create chances against Wolves, albeit Arsenal struggled. But, it's not exactly not a normal thing to create that level of chances against Wolves. But, look, credit where credit's due. They are definitely creating a lot more chances as they were. However, you could say they were just as bad defensively as they were going forward yesterday. So that's obviously still a worry. Yeah,
absolutely. We've got to talk about this Eli Krupi from Bournemouth, though. Like, 19 years of age, French striker. Obviously, he stepped in for Evan Nilsson, was doing really good. He seems completely at home in the Premier League. He seems to be scoring every time he's on the pitch.
Brilliant goal. You know who people are saying, and I think it's a great shout, there are people who are saying he's like the French Michael Owen. He definitely reminds you of Michael Owen. Like, he's short, but he's very sharp, and he gets his shots off very quick, and he's very quick as well. Doesn't let that lack of, like, he's not a big striker, but he just finds a way of getting little space, getting one touch and bang. And it's very similar to how Owen used to be in his pomp. Obviously, it's very early to make that comparison, but I do like it. And I think he's a little striker who's doing brilliantly at the moment. And, got a great goal-scoring record so far.
So, I mean, these 2 teams are probably the teams that are going to be hit the hardest from the AFCON. I know Sunderland are getting hit quite badly as well, but with Mbeumo and Diallo, 2 of their best players this season, and then obviously Bournemouth. No, they don't. Oh, Semenyo's not even going. Bournemouth are completely fine. But, Man United, I don't know how they're going to get through this period, to be honest.
Yeah, because Mbeumo's been such a big player. And as well, Diallo playing at wing-back has given like an extra... They're basically playing like an extra winger. And so without him there, I don't know who they're going to play at wing-back who's going to fulfill that role.
They'll probably play Dorgu.
If they play... Dorgu doesn't really offer the same threat. So I do envisage it. They won't maybe look as good as they have in the last couple of games. But then again, Mason Mount has been coming and been brilliant. So we'll see what he can offer.
Yeah, and I thought, like, he wasn't maybe as good yesterday as he has been in recent weeks, but I still thought he put in a pretty good display.
Also, for just touching on that Bruno free kick, as free kicks go goalkeeper side, sometimes you say, keeper should have been beaten. Like, that was just incredible.
Unstoppable.
Right into the top corner. Incredible. Yeah. It was like Rice's against Madrid.
Yeah, I mean, look, those last 15 minutes of the game yesterday, the whole game was scintillating, but, like, Bournemouth winning 3-2. within 3 minutes, they got the free kick and then Cunha scores. And then 4 minutes later, Bournemouth are scoring. I mean, just such a great game to watch, wasn't it?
Incredible.
And it's like such a breath of fresh air when we've seen so far this season, up until a few weeks ago. It's been, I felt like the Premier League's been so boring. Set pieces, long throw-ins, this. But it's felt like in the last couple of weeks now, teams are more open, teams are attacking more, and it feels like more of that at the Premier League again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But look, let's go to star men. Sim went for Bukayo Saka. He's burnt Haaland. He's burnt Saka. This is what you get for going for an Arsenal player, man.
It's incredible. The football gods conspired for my worst nightmare, essentially. He does get 2 contributions, but I get nothing for them. It's absolutely mental. Like, if you could pick what to happen if you were part of
pick
football
an
gods,
Arsenal player and find out. That's what happens.
Incredible. I was thinking, okay, I'm going to pick an Arsenal player and it's going to go against me, but at least he won't score and maybe Arsenal will drop points. But he still gets 2 assists.
Hope you learn your lesson now.
FPL. And I get nothing for it. So I sold my soul for nothing.
So I hope you learn your lesson.
Yeah.
I went for Igor Thiago, who did just as bad. No goals, no assists. Did have a penalty that was overturned by VAR. But, so look, as tight as ever. 150 points to Sim, 154 to myself going in to the games next weekend. So a little bit of a break now. I say a little bit, it's a week, just normal break. But it has just felt like the games have just been crazy. It feels weird because, like, at the beginning of December, it feels like 2 games a week. And usually towards the end of December, it's when the games start ramping up. But they seem to be slowing down now. So I don't really know what's going on.
They're not doing what they used to, those 2 games in 3 days or whatever. I think that's not a thing anymore.
Shame, because I liked it. I loved it. But once January starts to hit, the games start to ramp up again. So looks like they're giving the players a bit of a break, a mini break for Christmas. But look, that is it. We'll see you again on Thursday for Predict the Prem. Let us know your thoughts on the games below, and we'll see you next time.